Stand up right now and apologize to my son for your sabotage, or clean out your desk." Gerald Pierce's voice cut through the boardroom like a blade, his finger pointing directly at me across the conference table. The 18 board members and senior staff sat in dead silence, waiting for my response. Russell Pierce, Gerald's 28-year-old son and our newly promoted operations director, smirked from his chair beside the executive team. "My name is Eugene Walsh. I'm 49 years old." And that moment proved my 19 years as senior systems engineer at Titan Aerospace Defense Systems meant nothing to the Pierce family. Let me back up and tell you how this whole mess started 8 months ago. Back then, I ran the systems engineering department with a team of 12 solid engineers. We specialized in aircraft structural components for military contracts, and I knew every specification, every safety protocol, every failure point by heart. After serving 8 years in the Air Force working on aircraft maintenance and then working my way up from the shop floor, I'd earned respect through actual work, not family connections. Then Gerald hired his son, Russell. First day on the job, Russell rolled up in a brand new Porsche 911 wearing a custom suit that cost more than most of my guys made in a month. He had an MBA from Stanford and exactly 0 real-world aerospace experience. According to Gerald, Russell was there to modernize our operations and bring innovative cost management to an aging workforce. Red flag number 1. But I figured every boss's kid deserves a chance to prove themselves. "Eugene, you'll be mentoring Russell," Gerald announced during our department meeting. "Show him our processes. He's got some fresh ideas about optimizing efficiency." Russell's first fresh idea was cutting our fatigue testing protocols by 60% to accelerate production. Schedules. When I explained that aircraft components require specific safety certifications, he waved me off. "Look, Gene, I understand you're comfortable with traditional methods, but we need to embrace lean manufacturing principles. My father expects measurable improvements, not status quo thinking." That's when I realized we had a serious problem. This wasn't just nepotism, this was dangerous. Nepotism applied to military aircraft manufacturing. The real trouble started 4 months later when we landed the Phoenix military aircraft contract worth $200 million over 3 years. It was the biggest deal in our company's 22-year history. The contract specified manufacturing, wing spar assemblies and engine mounting systems using TI-6L4V titanium, alloy with specific fatigue resistance requirements and stress testing standards. Russell was assigned to lead the cost analysis phase while I handled technical specifications. His initial reports showed production costs 30% lower than my engineering assessments. When I questioned the numbers, he got defensive. "Maybe you're not seeing the optimization opportunities here, Gene. I've identified several process improvements that could save us millions while maintaining quality standards." I reviewed his analysis that evening. Russell had systematically replaced TI-6L4V titanium specifications with commercial-grade titanium alloy, eliminated heat treatment cycles, and reduced stress testing from 5 samples per batch to 1 sample per production run. These weren't optimizations, they were fundamental alterations that would produce structural components 45% weaker than contract requirements. "Russell, these changes violate basic metallurgy principles. Commercial-grade titanium can't provide the fatigue resistance that TI-6L4V delivers. Pilots will die if this equipment fails during flight." That's your interpretation. My analysis shows commercial grade can meet performance requirements at significant cost savings. My father agrees. We need to think strategically about profit margins. I scheduled an emergency meeting with Gerald the next morning. "Eugene, I appreciate your concerns, but Russell has identified legitimate opportunities for improvement. His cost projections show we can increase profit margins by 24% while delivering a product that meets all essential requirements." I spread the technical specifications across his desk. "Gerald, these aren't improvements. These are material substitutions that will fail FAA inspection and violate federal contract terms. We'll face criminal fraud charges if we submit equipment that doesn't match approved specifications. Gerald leaned back in his leather chair. I think you're being overly conservative. Russell has advanced business training from one of the top MBA programs in the country. He understands strategic considerations that pure engineering perspectives might miss. I understand that commercial-grade titanium has a fatigue limit 40% lower than Ti6Al4V. No MBA program changes basic physics. Gerald's expression hardened. Eugene, I'm going to say this once. Russell represents the future direction of this company. If you can't adapt to new methodologies, then perhaps it's time to consider whether you're the right fit for our evolving organization. The threat was clear. Accept Russell's dangerous modifications or find another job. Over the following 3 months, things escalated rapidly. Russell started attending my engineering meetings uninvited, contradicting my technical assessments in front of my team. He'd send emails to FAA certification officials with revised specifications, copying me as if I'd approved the changes. When federal inspectors asked technical questions during site visits, Russell would defer to me, then later blame any confusion on my unclear communication style. 3 of my best engineers, Stanley Grant, Joyce Miller, and Norman Stone, requested transfers to other departments, not because they'd lost confidence in my abilities, but because Russell had made it clear that association with resistant personnel would impact their career advancement opportunities. My team shrank from 12 engineers to 9, while Russell's influence expanded throughout the organization. The breaking point came during preparation for the major FAA compliance review scheduled for December 8th. I'd spent 3 weeks documenting why Russell's material substitutions would compromise safety and violate contract specifications. The night before our presentation, I was working late when I heard voices from the main conference room. Dad, what happens if the FAA asks technical questions I can't answer tomorrow? Don't worry, Russell. I've already briefed the certification team that Eugene has been resistant to efficiency improvements. If there are any technical issues during the presentation, we'll frame them as his failure to provide adequate documentation support. I stopped outside the conference room door and activated my phone's recording function. But what if they want to see the original engineering specifications? Eugene's original specifications reflect outdated, overly conservative approaches that would make us non-competitive. Your analysis demonstrates we can meet all critical requirements while improving profitability. Trust me, after tomorrow's presentation, you'll be leading this entire department. That conversation changed everything. This wasn't incompetence or even standard corporate politics. This was deliberate fraud. And they were planning to destroy my career to cover their tracks. Time to fight back. I started documenting everything the next morning. Every email, every meeting, every conversation. I kept backup copies of all original engineering reports and compared them with Russell's modified versions. The differences were staggering. He'd systematically altered material specifications, eliminated crucial safety tests, and reduced inspection requirements across 31 different contract items. The most dangerous change involved the wing spar assemblies. My original specifications called for Ti6Al4V titanium with specific fatigue resistance of 50,000 cycles minimum. Russell's version substituted commercial-grade titanium with no fatigue requirements. The commercial grade would provide approximately 45% less structural integrity than required titanium alloy. Pilots would die if this equipment failed during flight, but I needed more than technical documentation. I needed proof of criminal intent. The FAA compliance review was scheduled for the following Tuesday. Gerald announced that Russell would present our cost analysis to the federal certification team. I wasn't invited to attend. Russell will handle the technical presentation, Gerald informed me during our Monday morning meeting. Your role is to provide documentation support if requested. Gerald, the FAA team will have specific questions about metallurgy, stress analysis, and fatigue testing protocols. Russell doesn't have the engineering background to answer those technical inquiries. He has my complete confidence. That should be sufficient. I understood the setup. They were positioning Russell to fail during the presentation, then blame me for inadequate technical support. Classic scapegoat strategy. That evening, I stayed late again. Sure enough, Gerald and Russell were in the conference room preparing for Tuesday's presentation. I positioned myself outside the door with my phone ready. Just follow the presentation outline, Gerald was instructing. If they ask technical questions you can't answer, explain that Eugene was responsible for engineering briefings but failed to provide comprehensive documentation. What if they want to see the original specifications? There are no original specifications. Eugene's analysis was incomplete and overly conservative for modern manufacturing standards. Your cost optimization study represents our official engineering position. I had it all recorded. But something Howard Foster from its security told me the next day made the situation much worse. Gene, we need to talk, not here at the office. Can you meet me at Riverside Diner on Highway 84 tonight at 8? Riverside was a 24-hour truck stop 12 miles from the office. Howard was already there when I arrived, sitting in a back corner booth with a laptop bag and looking concerned. We have a serious problem, he said without preamble. Gerald has been monitoring your computer activity, your emails, your phone calls from the office. He's been building a surveillance file on you for the past 3 months. Howard opened his laptop and showed me activity logs. Every document I'd accessed, every email I'd sent, every phone call I'd made from my office extension, all logged and tracked. How is this legal? Technically, company equipment allows for monitoring, but here's the concerning part. He clicked to another screen. Beverly Pierce has been recording conversations throughout the building, not just casual workplace discussions. Formal meetings, private phone calls, confidential discussions with other employees. The screen showed a directory of audio files organized by date and participant names. My name appeared in dozens of entries. This goes beyond normal corporate surveillance. Beverly has been systematically collecting information on anyone Gerald considers a potential threat, including Helen Rodriguez, our primary investor. What kind of information on Helen? Financial records, private communications, details about her investment strategy. Gerald's been building leverage files on the entire board of directors. This wasn't just nepotism or fraud. This was systematic corporate espionage designed to maintain control through blackmail and intimidation. Howard, why are you showing me this? Because you're not the first target. Over the past 4 years, Gerald has systematically pushed out 6 other senior managers who questioned his decisions. He replaces experienced personnel with family loyalists, then uses surveillance data to control anyone who objects to his methods. Howard closed the laptop. Gerald doesn't just fire people who oppose him. He destroys their careers and ensures they can't find work elsewhere in the aerospace industry. What do you want me to do? Fight back, but you'll need more than engineering reports and recorded conversations. You'll need someone with enough influence to challenge Gerald directly. That's when Howard told me about Helen Rodriguez's background. She wasn't just our biggest investor. She was a former FAA certification officer with 18 years' experience in aircraft safety oversight. More importantly, she maintained active relationships throughout the FAA certification system. Helen has been asking questions about our recent performance metrics. She's noticed discrepancies between reported costs and actual deliverables. I think she suspects something is wrong, but she doesn't have concrete evidence. Can you arrange a meeting? Already done, tomorrow, 3 p.m. at downtown Coffee on First Street. She thinks you're briefing her on technical specifications for her investment review. I drove home that night knowing Gerald's operation was more sophisticated and dangerous than I'd realized. He wasn't just covering up Russell's incompetence, He was running a systematic scheme to defraud the FAA while eliminating anyone who might expose the truth. But now I had allies. Howard controlled its security systems. Helen had FAA connections. And I had documented evidence of fraud. The next 48 hours would determine whether we could stop this conspiracy or whether Gerald would succeed in destroying all of us. Helen Rodriguez wasn't what I expected. At 54, she looked more like a retired college professor than a major aerospace investor, but when she studied my engineering documentation at Downtown Coffee the next afternoon, her questions revealed the sharp mind of someone who understood both FA, certification, and corporate fraud. Eugene, these material substitutions aren't just cost-cutting measures. They're systematic contract violations that could result in federal criminal charges. She compared Russell's modified specifications with my original reports. If these altered specifications were submitted to FAA certification, we're looking at conspiracy to defraud the government. Gerald believes he can control the investigation through surveillance and pressure tactics. He's miscalculated. I maintain active relationships throughout FAA certification. More importantly, I've been monitoring concerning trends in this company's performance metrics for the past 8 months. Helen pulled out her own folder. Delivery schedules have slipped 28% since Russell joined the organization. Quality control reports show increasing deviation from contract specifications. Most troubling, our profit margins have increased while our actual material costs should be rising due to inflation. You think Gerald's been manipulating financial reports beyond just the Phoenix contract? I think this fraud extends much deeper than material substitutions on a single contract. She handed me a financial analysis. Russell's efficiency improvements have supposedly saved $3. $1 million across 12 different military contracts over the past 6 months. That level of cost reduction is impossible without compromising quality or violating specifications. Helen's plan was simple but risky.